All right, everybody, the Real Talk Sports Show is getting ready to go live right now. Bam! Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons. We welcome you to another broadcast here this week, last week in January, and the last week of my birthday. Turn up. Let me go and get the shades on. Oh, yeah, buddy boy. There we go. That's right. It has been the birthday month for the minister, yours truly. We are getting up there. These numbers are getting pretty doggone big, but that's okay. That means, thank the Lord, I'm still here. And we are enjoying the fact that we have reached into now the sixth decade. We actually reached it a year or two ago, but that's okay. But anyway, bottom line is we're here. Thank God. Still feeling pretty good. And we are just very, 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 very pleased to be here and pleased joining you. Especially want to give a big shout out to those of you who are watching us here on whatever platform. You watching us on Facebook, on YouTube, all you replay viewers on Periscope. Welcome in. Thank you so much. And we appreciate you again for joining us here on the broadcast. So as you know, we talk a lot of sports here on this show. We're going to be doing that this week. Obviously, the big weekend was in the NFL. And now we're just down to two teams. That's right. The finalists are here for the Super Bowl, and we have history in the making. We'll talk about that. Tom Brady being the first guy to be involved in 10 Super Bowls. Also, he has a shot to be the first person to win 7 Super Bowls. And, of course, he is the first man ever to lead his team to play in their own stadium for the Super Bowl. That's a lot of stuff that Mr. Brady has accomplished. So we talk about that. Also, right now in the NBA, right here in Atlanta, the Atlanta Hawks are actually allowing fans into the stadium for the very first time. Somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 fans are down at Phillips Arena right now watching the Hawks take on the LA Clippers. Hopefully, there is no type of load management going on for any of the Clippers. Of course, I'm talking about Kawhi Leonard, because everybody that would want to be there would certainly want to see him on the court. So hopefully there is no load management. I'll check in on that in just a little bit later. We're going to have Brian Jones hopefully join us in the broadcast, and also we'll be taking a look at some of the things that are going on. We're going to do something a little different tonight. We normally do some shout outs, and we have a segment called our community outreach segment. But tonight we're just going to shout out a couple of different organizations, and hopefully you guys will get involved with them and support them as best you can, because there's so many great organizations that are doing some great stuff out there all across the U.S., based right here in Atlanta where we are. We got some great people doing some stuff. So again, we're going to shout them out, and then later on in the year we hope to bring them on individually to have them talk to you about some of the great things that they are doing here in the community to give back to the people, and they really are operating here on the ground floor. The other thing that's really cool is that there is an intersection between sports and community outreach. A lot of people are not aware that many sports organizations give back quite a bit. So again, we'll talk about that, highlight a couple of different groups as we go into our community outreach segment. And then also, like I said, again, we'll be talking to you about everything that's been going on in the world of sports. Like I said, NBA, our Hawks are there, the Falcons. We'll talk about that at the end of our broadcast. Talking to you about the Falcons and kind of their coaching moves that they're making behind the scenes as they try to put this team together. And we're going to go to social media here. We're going to take a little quick peek here on social media. And there we are. Our man, Carl Eli Smith. And he says, where is the tree? Well, he's talking about our co-host, Tree Dolman. She will not be with us tonight. I know you guys are disappointed. Everybody is, feeling kind of some kind of way because she is lovely. Both in looks and in spirit. So she will not be joining us tonight, and hopefully she'll be back with us next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. So I know those of you who are used to seeing her lovely face, I'm sorry, you're going to have to deal with the minister tonight. As again, we talk, and we'll have some other guests on to join us later on in the broadcast. Like you said, it's been a great day. I'd like to get feedback from you, and we'll talk about this a little bit as we go through the broadcast. We're going to talk NFL. A couple of questions I want to ask you. I'm going to pop one of them up on the screen. Do you think that, let me go scroll down here and get the question here. Okay. Aaron Rodgers now 1-4 record in postseason play. Is he now officially overrated? Big question. Aaron Rodgers overrated. What do you guys think about that? Talk to you about that. Because like I said, right now, his overall record in NFC Championship is 1 win and 4 losses. So that means Mr. Rodgers has been there 5 times, but he has only won once. So I want to talk to you guys about that. Also, of course, want to talk about Tom Brady and what he's done with getting the 10 Super Bowls and potentially winning 7. I'd like to give some impact from you guys to kind of find out, do you think that some of these games are rigged? That's my question. Do you think the NFL is rigged? What do you think about that? I'd like to get your feedback about it and see what you think. Well, look, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to regroup for just a second. I got to get a couple little things done here. Again, we thank God for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, watching us on Facebook, watching us on Periscope, also watching us on Twitch. Appreciate you guys hitting us up on Twitch as well. And also, of course, to all the listeners on the audio on WIGO 1570 Atlanta's Incredible Radio, also broadcasting on their brand new website, which is WIGO1570.com. That's a new website for WIGO. So again, check them out. And again, you can listen to the audio. Also, if you want to listen to audio only, you can go to the free TuneIn Radio application. If you don't have it, download. It's a free app. Get you all types of radio stations. Go ahead and pop them on. And just go into the search engine, put in WIGO 1570, and voila, you will find us broadcasting to you right here and right now. So please, ma'am, please, sir, go ahead and check us out here. Let's go and pop on the social media here. Let's see, we got comments buzzing already. Mr. Vincent Turner, let's see what Mr. Turner has to say. He says, hey, he says, God bless. Did you hear NBA TV reporter Seiko Smith died this morning from COVID? I did not hear that. That is breaking news. Thank you, Mr. Turner. I got to tell you guys, this whole thing with the COVID is pretty intense. As you can see, Sekou Smith was not an older guy. I think he was somewhere in his 40s. Again, thank you, Mr. Turner, for updating me. And we're going to bring on one of our guests, a guy that is right at the intersection between pop culture and sports, and he's going to talk to us about it as well. But again, breaking news. Well, not breaking news, but news certainly to me, because I was working. I actually work for a living as well. Sekou Smith, the fantastic sports commentator and reporter on ESPN, is gone from COVID. Well, let's bring in a guy that, again, sits right at the intersection between pop culture and sports. Back in the building with us again, the one and only Brian Jones. Welcome back, kind sir.
Great to be back. Thanks for having me on again.
Well, listen, certainly very sad news here as Mr. Turner broke it out to me. I was not aware of that because, like I said, again, I wasn't actually working. So sad news to your Sekou Smith, a guy that has been, a landmark guy on everything that we see. Certainly like to get your feedback and your thoughts on his passing.
Yeah, that news actually broke about 30 minutes ago. It was TNT that first announced it, and he died of complications from COVID-19. Sekou Smith, who covered the Hawks previously, he was only 48 years old, and I got a chance to run into him a few times when he was covering Hawks games back. It was like 10 years ago, and just when it comes to social media, the outcry and the tributes that are given to him, it's just they're basically saying the same thing. He always had a smile on his face, just really passionate about basketball. I know a couple of teams, the 76ers and the Los Angeles Clippers, released a statement paying tribute to Sekou Smith. He was just a guy who was just so passionate about the game, really knowledgeable about the NBA, which is why he was beloved by so many when it comes to NBA players, NBA teams, even media personalities as well. So he will be deeply missed. And if you don't really think that you should be taking COVID-19 seriously, you really should, because I don't think he had any health issues. And it was just recently, earlier this month, he was just talking about the top NBA MVP candidates. So this is just a very brutal loss to the NBA community.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It is certainly a stunner here. Again, breaking news for those of you who are just tuning into the broadcast. We sadly have to announce the passing of Sekou Smith, NBA TV reporter, longtime affiliate also with ESPN as well. And yeah, man, it's just it just makes you kind of stop and think about kind of how we're going about our business here. You don't even know what to think. I mean, like I said, again, I kind of go through this being a guy that is on the front line. When I say on the front line, I'll make it sound like I'm a health provider, but in fact, I'm in the business where we deal with clients, and we do not have a mandate at this particular time at my place of business forcing people. I shouldn't say forcing people, but requiring people to wear masks when they come into the building. So, it really is kind of a crapshoot. You don't know what people's sensibilities are when they come in. I mean, your hope is that everybody has is not ill, but you don't know because some people have very few symptoms. We've had multiple employees at our location get COVID. Fortunately, none of them have had any super severe effects. We had a couple that were hospitalized early on, but most of them have been able to go through the quarantine and that's it. So I don't know, man. I mean, I tried to get into the politics when I'm on this show, but it kind of makes you wonder what is the thinking behind people not doing all they can to be careful, when we have this pandemic roaring through our system.
Well, I just think it's one of those things where, for those who haven't experienced anyone being close contact with the virus or even haven't had the virus, they're just going to go about their daily lives. I think, based on society, we're built on to be social. We're built on going out, doing a number of things. So when you're forced to stay at home and forced to wear a mask, or not really forced to wear a mask, but you're in a situation where the majority of people are wearing masks. It's just something that people haven't gotten used to, even though this virus has been around since late 2019 when it comes to a worldwide perspective. Now we're in a situation where there are people who are talking about wearing double masks because of the different variants of COVID-19. So it's really just a tough situation. Now, the good thing is there's vaccines that are slowly but surely rolling out in the country and all over the world. So hopefully we can get to herd immunity by the end of the summer, and hopefully that will lead to things getting closer back to normal. But right now, we're just in a very tough spot, and we just have to do everything we can to stay safe and healthy.
Yeah, it's real crazy, man. I mean, so even you and I hear this news, it kind of gives me some pause, because I had originally planned to, go down to Tampa and socially distance, cover the Super Bowl. But I mean, the hits just keep on coming, and it's making me more and more hesitant to get out of the little bubble that I have here with my family and my place of business. But of course, on the flip side, the realities are that so many people have reported that they have quote unquote done all the right things and still in fact gotten the COVID. So this is a disease that is very sinister. I do believe that it has some man-made causes to it, and we just have to try to find everywhere we can to be more careful about it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that people who have done everything to protect themselves have gotten the virus. I remember when Freddie Freeman first tested positive for COVID-19 before the start of the season. They weren't sure he was going to be ready on time, and he said he did everything right. And him and his wife talked about it. They stayed at home, didn't have weren't in close contact with too many people, and he still showed not just test positive for COVID-19, but he contracted symptoms to where he was in bed getting chills, and he was able to, of course, he was able to, fight through it and have an MVP type season. But yeah, it's just really something that we've never experienced before. The last time something like this happened was the Spanish flu, which was over 100 years ago, and that took a third of the world's population. So this is something that we're going to have to adjust or continue to adjust as scientists and experts continue to learn about this virus, learn about the variants of this virus. We hope to be out of it by now, because it's been close to a year since, the NBA shut down. And I remember that night, that was March 11th. And like right before that, that was when Tom Hanks announced he was positive for COVID-19, and everything just snowballed after that. So hopefully things can get better in the next couple of months with the vaccines and things like that. But we're just in a very tough spot right now.
Yeah, very, very scary, man. There's no doubt about it. Look, folks, you know how it is. We have to take a little break here because we are on multiple platforms. And one of them is WIGO 1570, Atlanta's Incredible Radio. And we will always have to give a shout out to those people who help support the broadcast. So keep it locked right here for more of the Real Talk Sports Show. Don't go nowhere. Please keep it locked right here. Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our number one priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net. And we are back. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host and minister, Jonathan Simmons, and one of our guest co-hosts, as he always likes to drop in and join us, Brian Jones is in the building. Brian, of course, welcome back, man.
Yeah, again, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me on.
So, okay, right now, like I mentioned earlier, we got some action going on downtown. Our Atlanta Hawks are actually playing for the first time in front of actual people, not cardboard cutouts, like real people. What do you think about the idea of now, as we just discussed with the COVID, bringing in the NBA starting to bring in about 10% of capacity, and the hope is to gradually get up to maybe 20 or 30% by the end of the season?
Yeah, this is something that they talked about. I think as long as they keep everyone spread out, as long as they have everyone wear a mask, I think it's okay. I think for the Hawks, I think it's a very limited a number, as you mentioned, 10%. So maybe like around a little over 1,000. So again, this is something that the NBA wanted to do. This is something that they're looking at other leagues when it comes to the NFL, Major League Soccer. So they've done their research when it comes to allowing fans to watch these games live. And what's interesting is the NBA is talking about hosting the All-Star game here in Atlanta in March and have, again, a limited number of fans. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. I think it should be okay as long as they keep the number small. And then if things go right in terms of fans, staying safe, not testing positive, not contracting the virus, then it can gradually go up as the season rolls on. So I think this is a good idea. I think NBA fans have been waiting to get back into the arena, and hopefully it can lead to more fans down the road.
Oh, no doubt, man. I mean, there's no question. I know me personally, the idea of the All-Star game coming back here is pretty exciting. I was here. I was not yet involved in covering sports at that time, but I was here when it was here the last time, which I think was in 2003. And what was so crazy about that, and it was the last of so many players that we were able to see. So it was the last All-Star game for Michael Jordan. Allen Iverson was there, Yao Ming. So there was just a whole host. Shaq was still playing at that time. So it was really a phenomenal thing. And of course, the late Kobe Bryant was also there as well. So it just was a phenomenal thing to see that. And the crazy thing was they actually, to help accommodate the fans, a lot of people don't remember this, but they actually had one of the practice sessions in a special court made inside the Georgia Dome, inside the Georgia Convention Center. So it really was a tremendous thing, and hopefully we'll see that again. I will say this, though, as a side note. Now, a lot of people think, preacher, where's your mind at? But the odd thing was there also was another event that went on during the All-Star game weekend. That was taking you back. You were a little younger then, but do you have any idea or recollection of the other event that went on during that same weekend? Do you remember?
2003.
Yep, it was somewhat controversial. So I'll leave it like that.
Oh, man. I'm trying to think what happened.
I'll give you a hint. It was a convention, a very odd convention, but it was a convention.
Very odd convention. I should know this, and I just can't remember right now.
Well, I'm glad you can't remember, Brian, because believe it or not, back when the Atlanta had hosted the All-Star game, one of the reasons they had to shut down Lenox Mall and that whole area in Buckhead was because of the caravan of cars that were here for the quote
Oh,
unquote pimp and hoe convention.
okay. I think
And I
I
kid you not,
vaguely
guys.
remember that. Yeah.
Right. I kid you not. Hopefully, we'll not have a repeat of them coming down to join
Hmm.
us for the All-Star game. But yeah, that was one of the craziest things, seeing various types of high-end luxury cars with guys wearing throwback stuff that I had not seen since I was a kid in the 70s, the big bell bottoms, the feather in the hats. It was really a
Hmm.
surreal scene. But only in the ATL we have something like that for sure. Well, speaking of the ATL, speaking of the NBA basketball, kind of, as we kind of in the beginning of the season, any teams that are standing out to you so far with their level of play that you think might be able to continue to go on in a shortened season and maybe make some noise in the playoffs? I know it's early, but anybody you've seen so far?
Well, yeah, and I think this is really no surprise. I think the Lakers, the way they have looked so far, they look like a team that could win the NBA championship again. And again, I think people basically predicted that when they won the championship last year. I know the Milwaukee Bucks played the Hawks, and they were able to beat them not too long ago. That's going to be a team, obviously, to watch out for. And again, it's early, so teams are still figuring things out, including the Hawks that are playing above 500. And I think if they do that, then they can reach the playoffs. But I think if there's one team that just really stands out, it has to be the Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And again, um, they're going to probably continue on the upward trend moving forward. So it's just a matter of who can compete with the Lakers.
No doubt. Yeah, I think the Lakers obviously look like they're trying to get a repeat. LeBron is trying to cement himself. Is not being considered the greatest player, certainly now moving up into that top three, or maybe even to the top two, second only behind Michael Jordan. Obviously, Kobe Bryant has to be in that consideration as well. And of course, we like to toss these guys out, but you still have to consider the late Bill Russell and certainly Kareem, who himself won 5 or 6 championships and about the same number of MVPs. Oftentimes, he's lost in the sauce when people talk about the greatest player of NBA history. But when you look at Kareem's numbers, they are staggering to really understand and look at.
Yeah, it really is. And I think when it comes to Kareem, it's just, he started his career with the Bucks and then go on the Lakers, have a legendary career. So um, I think with the Bucks you know, and I hope they actually enable to take that step forward because they've come up short in the playoffs the last couple of years. Giannis is a guy that he's the two-time NBA MVP, a really great defensive player, and I think if they're continuing, if they and he just signed a really big contract, so it
A big
looks
one.
like yeah, huge. So I think if they're able to continue to build around him, I think he can bring a title to Milwaukee and the state of Wisconsin, which is something again they haven't done in over 40 years. So again, that's going to be a team that's going to be interesting to watch this season and next season because Giannis has proved himself to be a superstar in the league. It's just a matter of Mike Budenholzer um, getting those guys to play, taking that next step and playing around him. So again, yeah, it's going to be. I think they could probably take that next step forward and represent the Eastern NBA Finals. But again, we'll just have to wait and see.
Oh, no doubt, man. It's going to be very, very interesting. And certainly, with Budenholzer, he's gotten some pushback, over the time in terms of, him not being able to get a team to a championship level. So, this is going to be because, with the Hawks was a situation where, everybody admitted that this was a team that just didn't have the superstars. And of course, the team was injured. If we go back there and look, some of their key players were injured as well. So, um, if he can't get these guys at least into the NBA finals, it's going to be, I think, a beginning start to look as an indictment towards his ability to coach and win the big games. Well, speaking of big numbers, it's just and the tragedies that we face in the world of sports. Another two sports icons left us, two guys that left their mark for their long careers in baseball and their long championship. But one guy stands head and shoulders above the crowd. Here in Atlanta, we had to do a double morning. First, Don Sutton. a longtime Braves announcer. But of course, you Dodger fans out there remember him as one of the great Dodger pitchers in LA history. And then, of course, the Hammer, as it was so nicely put up there by our producer, Carl Eli Smith, hammering Hank, 755, the all-time home run champion. Even Barry Bonds says he is gone at age 86. Just talks a little bit, Brian, because I know you covered the Braves quite a bit over the years.
Yeah, the Braves had a memorial service for Hank Aaron at Truist Park, and they over the weekend they had Truist Park open for the fans for the first time since the 2019 season. And I actually had the opportunity to meet Hank Aaron, and this was in 25 years ago. We really didn't have like a big conversation, but I have a photo of him and me and Hank Aaron together, and I still have that today. Hank Aaron was just one of those guys who was a great ambassador to baseball. Most people remember him, hitting that 715th home run in 1974, and then ending with 755 home runs overall. And when he left the game, that was first all time. But one can make an argument for him being the best hitter of all time because he's the all-time leader in career RBIs. He's the all-time leader in extra base hits. He's the all-time leader in total bases. He also had over 3,700 hits. Only Ty Cobb and Pete Rose had more than him. And he was named to the All-Star team 25 times, the most in Major League Baseball history. And he's a guy that didn't like to strike out. I don't think he had a season where he struck out more than 100 times per year. Now, you see that often with some of the top baseball players today. You see a lot of top name players strike out constantly, but you never got that from Hank Aaron. And again, most people consider Hank Aaron as a home run hitter because the home runs he hit, which is 755. But if you take away all his home runs, he would still have 3,000 hits. So he was just, again, a legendary player. If you're going to put a Mount Rushmore of baseball players, I think you have to put Hank Aaron up there because of what he did for the game. World Series champion, MVP, a great defensive player. He was a 3-time Gold Glove winner. So it was tough for Braves fans to hear about the loss of Hank Aaron because he was such a hero and an icon to many in the Atlanta area and to the baseball community. So he's going to be missed very deeply.
No doubt. Absolutely. This is a guy that just put his mark on, like you said, the entire baseball world. We're going to go here and pop up his stats up there. Hopefully you guys can see those. I'm going to try to see if I can get them up a little bit closer here. But his numbers, Brian, are absolutely staggering. What I tell people is very interesting about baseball is that, you people just don't realize, what this guy did. So if you look at these stats, we're talking about a guy that, as you mentioned, 3,000, well over 3,000 hits, 3,700 hits. He was a lifetime 300 hitter, and this is a guy that played over 20 seasons. And the crazy thing about it is, if you just go by the numbers, okay, I believe he played a total, I think it was 22 seasons. The thing that is absolutely crazy, all right, is that you could set a guy out today. And what's kind of the big picture or the big parameter for someone who's a top slugger, a top hitter, right? It would be if he was a 3,100, 300 guy, you would say, sign me up tomorrow. He would be considered one of the top players in baseball, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So if you look at Hank Aaron, this is insane to think about this. If you had 20 seasons where you had at least 175 hits, 30 homers, and 100 RBIs, you still would be over 150 home runs and over 500 RBIs short, over 300 RBIs short of Hank Aaron's record. 20 seasons averaging 3,100, 300, and you still are short by a huge margin of Hank's numbers. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I mean, and that's what I think a lot of us just forget is just how great this guy was. And, oftentimes when people talk about the greatest player in baseball history, they oftentimes don't name it. As a matter of fact, if you look a couple of years ago, they actually did like kind of a mock-up of kind of who the top 2 nines were. So your first team, your second team. And I think Hank barely made the second team. And in some cases, didn't even make any team at all. greatest players ever to play the game, because I think, Brian, some of it is because of the fact that he just never had that monster season of 50 homers or more, because for a long time, until these guys, did the steroids thing, 50 homers was kind of your marker of the big home run kings. And ironically, he never had a 50 homer season. Most he ever had in the season was 47. And I think because of that, and I think the other thing too is because he started off his career in Milwaukee and then finished in Atlanta, neither one of those two big media um, bastions, I think that really kind of took away from, his greatness in the eyes of the general public.
Yeah, when they talk about, I've seen this argument over the years when they talk about the best baseball player of all time. Most people will say Babe Ruth, and a lot of it has to do with him being part of the Yankees. And I think he won 7 World Series during this time there, and he obviously had the 714 home runs, but he also was a pitcher and had an ERA under 3. So, and again, he was a tremendous player, but I think Hank Aaron was just all about consistency. He was all about it. You listen to him in his interviews. He doesn't talk about hitting home runs in order to be successful. It's all about getting on base, driving in the guy on second and third. Just being efficient, and that's the key to being a successful baseball player. Is being efficient, trying to get on base, trying to help out your team, driving those runs, helping your other teammates out. And that's what he did. And Hank Aaron also wasn't flashy. Didn't have this big personality like Babe Ruth did. Um, he was just all about his business, all about helping his team in any way he can to win, and just being the best player he could every time he stepped out on the field. So I think that's one of the reasons why he's not looked at as the best player of all time, even though he's part of the All Century team that was named in 1999. But it's just one of those things where, um, people just, for whatever reason, they just don't look at him as that number one guy as they would with someone like Michael Jordan or with Tom Brady or with Tiger Woods. So hopefully, as time goes by, people start to pay attention more to what Hank Aaron did for baseball and just sports in general.
Well, I'm gonna give you some of his stats, some of his seasons that he really shined. So we're gonna look at some seasons from age 21 to age 25. So that's the last 4 years of the 50s. Okay, 1956 is kind of when he started. I mean, I said 1955, the year that everybody kind of in the New York press was so hype about, because once again we saw the Dodgers playing the Yankees. But in that year, 1955, he led the league in doubles with 37. He had 27 homers, 106 runs batted in, and had a 540 slugging percentage. He also batted for that year. Looks like he batted well over 300. So this is a guy that, was already starting to make his mark. The next year, he led the league in hits with 200. He had 26 homers, 92 runs batted in, 328 batting average, also led the league. 1957, he was the MVP. He led the league in runs scored. He led the league in home runs. He led the league in RBIs, and he was in the top 5 in the league in hitting, and he led the league in total bases. This guy was just absolutely huge. The next year, he was second in MVP balloting, had 196 hits, 30 homers, 95 runs batted in, and a 326 batting average. Okay, and those teams he took to the World Series twice. Of course, the Braves knocked off the Yankees in his MVP year in 1957. So, this is a guy that I think what happened was, because he had the monster years early in his career, kind of before the real explosion of baseball on TV, and certainly, like I said, playing the early years in Milwaukee and then playing the 60s in Atlanta not really kind of being a threat in those years where, like I said, the early 60s were dominated by the Yankees, mid 60s dominated by the Dodgers. And then, of course, and later on, we had and moved into the 70s teams like the Reds and the Orioles and the like. And so he really kind of was out of the spotlight, but consistently putting up just monstrous numbers year in and year out, and was a good postseason player. Back in 1969, when they faced the Miracle Mets, they were swept, but he hit 2 home runs off the Cy Young Award winner that year, Tom Seaver, who was 25-7. Hank blasted, I think it was 3 or 4 homers in a 3-game series, including 2, I believe, in game 1. So, I mean, like I said, very underrated player, extremely underrated.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say underrated because again, this just goes back to what he did for the Braves and what he did for baseball. Is if you look at his numbers, you would consider him as the best of all time, but because of the lack of attention he got during that time, and especially in Atlanta, when Atlanta was a city that was growing, but it was nowhere near where New York and Los Angeles were at the time. He was just overlooked, and the fact that the Braves weren't winning as much, um, as you would think, that also played a factor. So even though most people consider him as a legendary player, one of the best to ever do it, in a lot of ways he is underrated because of the dominance he had during his time playing and the consistency um, he he was able to produce. So uh, yeah, again, I think this is just one of those things where when more and more baseball fans, as the baseball season starts in the next couple of months, and they start to look back at his career, I think they're going to have more of an appreciation to what Hank Aaron did for baseball.
No doubt. And of course, the other thing that we don't talk about much, we talk about here in Atlanta, is that the fact that our producer, Carly Smith, brought up the fact that he was a legendary businessman, just absolutely awesome. And as a matter of fact, that's how I had my first live interaction with Mr. Aaron, was when I came here to Atlanta. I was working for the brand new Infinity store that they had opened at that time in Union City. And we were located about maybe a quarter of a mile behind down the street from Hank Aaron's BMW store, which he had just opened a couple of years before. And I remember coming there, we were still kind of putting the showroom together with our new furniture and so forth. And I looked out the window and I saw a golf cart driving up the road. I looked and this old gentleman appeared to be in his 50s or 60s. And the closer he got, I said, boy, that guy sure does look like Hank Aaron. And as he got closer, I realized it was Hank Aaron. And so I ran and grabbed our dealer principal, young guy like myself. We were both in our 40s, I think, at that time. And so Mr. Aaron came up. And do you know, Brian, he jumped off the golf cart with some memorabilia and a big handshake and big smile and said, welcome to the neighborhood. Hope you guys are very successful. And if you need anything, please let me know. And then got back in the golf cart and drove off. And we both were kind of like, what just happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, just incredible. And then over the years, I got a chance to see him at various functions. As a matter of fact, got a chance to meet him and his wife and another legendary late Hall of Famer, Frank Robinson. A lot of people don't know that Mr. Aaron did so many things in the community. As a matter of fact, we're going to take a brief break, and we'll be back. We have to again go and give a big shout out to our sponsor. Our main sponsor, of course, is Allen Vigil Ford in Lincoln. And we also want to give a chance to folks at WIGO to take a little break. You listen to the Real Talk Sports Show as we broadcast you on every Portal weekend. Keep it locked right here for more. Stay tuned. Nothing better than the sound of diesel in the morning. And what better place to get high horsepower diesel than the all-new 2024 F-250, now with 475 horsepower and over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. You know where to get it? From me, the minister, Jonathan Simmons at Allen Vigil Ford Commercial Sales. Because you know why? I'm the commercial truck guy in the shirt and tie.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
My man, JB Smooth. I was like, he guys always doing his thing. I got a chance to meet those guys, some of the people that you saw at various events that we have done. That was at the blue carpet when they had the college football playoffs here, the championship game. It was 9 degrees, record cold for Atlanta. They actually had to have heat lamps out there, Brian, when we stood there on the blue carpet. Yeah, just incredible. But yeah, so just circling back again, Hank Aaron doing so many great things. And we want to give a shout out to one of the things that he did. His nonprofit organization gave quite a bit to the Morehouse School of Medicine. That was a big thing for him. He thought that, people's health were very, very important. And speaking of that, unfortunately, and we don't want to just kind of put out any kind of crazy rumors out there, but there was a lot of buzz momentarily on social media when it was discovered that Mr. Aaron had, recently taken the COVID-19 vaccine. People, all the conspiracy buffs were immediately saying, "See that? See?" So, have you heard any rumors about that? And what have you heard in terms of pushback against that type of talk?
So yeah, I actually wrote about this earlier today, and this came from the Fulton County Medical Office. That Hank Aaron, the cause of death was just natural causes, and the Braves said that he died in his sleep. So it had nothing to do with the COVID-19 vaccine. It was just of natural causes. I saw that, and I actually wrote about him getting the COVID-19 vaccine earlier this month with his wife and Andrew Young, and he was all about getting everyone vaccinated. As you mentioned, it made huge contributions to the Morehouse School of College, medical school. So, so for those who think that the COVID-19 vaccine had anything to do with his death, it didn't. It was just natural causes, which makes sense because he was 86 years old.
Yeah, so I mean, it's always the big conspiracy thing. I mean, listen, I get it, guys. I mean, people know me. I'm always a guy thinking, how about that? So I get it. It is certainly something that people consider. I know myself personally, I'm a little leery about the vaccine only because America, unfortunately, has had a bad history with vaccines. And the other thing too is I was always led to believe that there was really not a quote unquote vaccine if you had a virus. I mean, when we went to the doctors, they always kind of tell us, hey, the virus has to run its course. So that's why I was baffled when he said, hey, we have a vaccine for a virus. I was like, But anyway, that's for another show. We won't get into that right now. Yeah, you got to figure at 86 years old, the guy, I mean, he's almost 90 years old. I mean, and, the Lord blessed him to live a very long, prosperous life, impacted so many people's careers. And so we certainly don't want anything tainted by that. And we hope and pray that it was just that. He died of natural causes. Unlike another guy that passed, it wasn't necessarily in sports, but certainly had an involvement in sports because of all the people he interviewed. Another great legend, media legend. I'm just drawing a blank. Larry King passed away again in the ripe old age, I believe, of 87 years old. And it really, man, this 20 and now into 21, Brian. I don't know about you again, because you see it as much or more than us. This has been tough with so many people from sports and entertainment specifically leaving us at various ages.
It really has been, and it started early last year. It actually 1 year ago today with Kobe Bryant, and then it just snowballed into just various celebrities. When you're talking about Alex Trebek being one of them, Chadwick Boseman, various baseball players, Lou Brock. It's just really interesting, and every year there's different notable celebrity deaths, athlete deaths, but I think for some reason, and I think a lot of it has to do with everything that happened last year, it just seems like there were more significant celebrity passings and deaths in the past year. And even the start of this year, it just seems like there's been a lot more because obviously when Hank Aaron and Don Sutton here locally, Larry King, as you mentioned, even it's just been very interesting and also very sad to see these celebrities and notable figures pass. Even Sean Connery, who has been retired from acting for the last close to 17 years, he just was living a quiet life, and just to hear his passing was pretty surprising, even though he was older. So this has been a really, really wild time when it comes to news of sports athletes dying and celebrities dying. So, unfortunately, I think it's not going to get better anytime soon.
No, man, it's just like I said, it's very, very tough because, again, we are in the middle of this pandemic, even though it's slowed down some. It's just been very hard on everybody. And just the idea of, the other thing too is I think that we lived in this vacuum or bubble to believe that we were that our great heroes were immortal, because the Lord did allow them to live so many long lives. I mean, these people, we're not talking about people dying at 40 or 50. These guys were all in their 80s, and in many cases had still been working into their 80s. So we still saw them on screen as we could see they were getting older, but they were still impacting us, and they still seemed to have the fullness of life, their wit about them. So that's what I think makes it tough. We were so used to having these guys around all the time. Again, going back to social media, our producer Carl Eli Smith reminds us, that Hank not only owned the BMW dealership, but also owned a Krispy Kreme in the West End, and also a lot of people don't know, owned a couple of Popeyes and Krispy Kremes inside the airport. Yeah, he was quite the businessman, had tentacles everywhere, all over the place as far as business. So again, big kudos to him. Going back to social media, our good buddy on Periscope, Affiliate Man. Now, he always likes to jump in and talks Falcons, so he knows that normally Orlando Ledbetter is on at 8:45, so he's already got his Falcon stuff up, talking about, hey, the Falcons need to retire the slogan, rise up. There was some talk about that. Well, listen, guys, we're going to do, there's more talk, but you have to stay here with us here. This is a Real Talk Sports Show, broadcasting to you again on every portal we can, but the big news is we're also doing live radio right now on AM 1570 WIGO, Atlanta's Incredible Radio. So we got to take a little commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Hold on. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our number one priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net. Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions, or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net. Yeah, I kind of like those Lincolns. Got the smooth look there of luxury. They do a great job now. A lot of people don't know, but the Lincoln, in terms of ramping up the luxury experience, now has, as I saw it in a commercial, they now have it set up where you actually can do everything from your app. You can literally set up a service appointment, and they will actually send out a driver, pick up your car, bring it to the service department, service it in whatever way it needs. Either your bill will be prepaid on your card, or in some cases there'll be no charge, and then the car will be brought back to you. And while you're waiting, a loaner car, in case you have to run a few errands, will be left at your door or at your place of business. Now, how cool is that?
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool. I think I've heard that before with other dealerships slowly and surely starting to do that. But yeah, that's really convenient.
Yeah, Lincoln really has stepped up in a big way, and you actually can get a package for a nominal fee, including your payment, where all of that stuff can actually be prepaid. So all your maintenance, all that stuff is handled. And again, you never have to leave your home, and you don't even have to get engaged with any conversation. You know how it is, Brian, when you call in and they put you on this guy, hey, dial 1, press 4. Forget about it. Just go ahead and go to your app. Just hit service, bang, bang, bang. They get set up, and like I said, your concierge will come out, pick up your car, drop one off for your use, and then when the car is finished, they bring it back. And oh, by the way, before it's brought back, it's cleaned up, nice and shiny. Yeah, that's definitely luxury stuff. Well, as we got to kind of finish up here, we're going to talk a little NFL. So I'm going to try this here. So we were going to do a little sports and entertainment segment. We've been having some little technical difficulties. Now I can see she's in the green room. I want to see if her audio maybe might be active because her camera right now is off. Let's bring up the lovely Miss Erica and see if she can at least be heard. Erica, can you hear us? I think she can hear us, but I don't know if there's her mic. Her mic is on. Speak, Erica.
Hi.
There she is, the lovely Miss Erica. Erica, thank you for joining us. We're doing a little test, Brian. What we're going to do eventually is add a segment we can kind of do a little sports and entertainment, kind of what's happening. I don't want to say gossip because we're not big on that, but we definitely going to let Erica bring us some breaking news
Today.
Well, no. You see that, Brian? So, today I got some. She's like, I'm ready. What you got?
I don't have any breaking news today, but this is my first time on the show. It's actually pretty interesting. I'm actually enjoying it. Next show actually may have some, breaking news.
Well, we want to let people see more closely your smiling face. As you can see, Erica is quite lovely, and she's going to bring on some great stuff, and quite the business lady herself. So the other thing too is that one of the things that we're going to let her do is talk to you a little bit about some of the businesses that she has, and some of the things that you really should be looking for as you try to transition in this way of COVID. Like I said, she knows how to really kind of do some multiple streams of income, and we'll let her talk to you a little bit about that, and of course let you know what's happening in the world of sports and entertainment, and maybe even a little about some love life that's going on with some of our athletes.
So a little bit about myself. I have a transportation company called Chase Transportation and Towing. I also grow a little hemp, and I make honey. So, and just a little bit more things coming my way. I keep you guys posted on it. No information on love life of any athletes at this point. I'm trying to work on my own. So.
Oh, wait a minute. See, always some breaking news. So it does appear that Miss Erica is the eligible bachelorette. So, all right. So now, guys, listen. Now, if I put the social media up now, I don't want to hear a couple of days later her inbox is all blown up with a lot of nonsense. Okay, we will post that later. But again, any of our co-hosts, what we say, better come correct. We don't want any shenanigans. All right, or we'll block you. I'm just saying. But yeah, it's great, Erica, that you're able to pop in here and join us. As you can see, we kind of keep the show free flowing. Brian's been with us for a couple of years. He pops in whenever he can have some time. And matter of fact, he really is on the ground floor because he does both sports and entertainment. He does something with a magazine called Pop Culture, and he's been a long-time contributor with 24/7 Sports. So yeah, we try to cover it all in the Real Talk Sports Show.
Okay, well that's great. I'm just I'm the photography on the end, so I'm a little bit more interested in getting those action shots and fun shots on my.
That's the other thing, guys, you've seen from me from time to time. I'll post on social media. You see on Instagram, I got some great shots of the high school games up close. A lot of them were provided by Erica. Got some good stuff from some of the games, and we're going to put some more stuff on as we get into the springtime in February, especially as we kind of, as you know, Brian, that's the big kind of recruitment and signing days. I mean, they've done a lot more in December now, but February is still considered a big day and big month for the guys with that, and also with their All-Star games. So hopefully we'll have Erica at some of the games and she can kind of give us some great shots from what's going on.
I'm excited about that.
Well, you listen, we are very, very excited to have you part of the broadcast. And like I say again, you see, guys, she's very lovely. So, because everybody they were kind of tired of seeing me. All of a sudden, I see all the views start to go up. See, I know how it works. See, they're tired of seeing me. They'll mind Brian a little bit. He's a young guy, but me, they're like, oh, Minister, don't you? Where's the beautiful ladies at? There we go. Yep, I can see those numbers starting to climb. All right, well, there you go. Okay, it's all right. I'm not mad. I'm not jealous of that at all. Just saying. Well, yeah, so Brian, let me ask another thing too as we get towards the end here. Again, we want to just touch on the Super Bowl really quick. And again, for those of you listening to us on WIGO 1570, I know you guys have to go at the 9 o'clock hour. So I want to give you guys a big, big shout out and say thank you so much. This is kind of how I started on just radio only. And you guys at WIGO have certainly been kind of our backbone. So we appreciate you so much. Appreciate our producer. You never see him, but you'll see his comments up on social media. My good friend, Carl Eli Smith. We just call him Eli. And he is a legendary gospel DJ. He used to be on a station called WYZE here in Atlanta for a long, long time. He still does a gospel program called the Eli Smith Show every Monday through Friday, with the exception of Wednesday. He brings you the greatest of gospel hits from old school stuff from back when, like, if you old like me, back when you was a little kid, hear them old foot stompers, and then brings you everything up to date to the urban stuff that's happening and contemporary gospel as well. So check him out on WIGO 1570 on WIGO1570.com. All right, guys, for those of you listening to us only, I like to say to you, God bless you and have a great day. And remember, follow us anywhere on social media at Real Talk Sports 7. So long, WIGO listeners.
Good evening.
All right, there we go. We had to give them, got to do the traditional kind of sign off the air on the station. So yeah, now Erica, you can chime in this as well. First of all, let's start with the NFL games. Brian, I'll have you go first because you covered the Packers for many, many years. What do you think about that game? Final score: Tampa Bay 31, Green Bay 26. Aaron Rodgers now 1-4 in NFC Championship games.
Well, I think for that game in particular, Tom Brady and the Bucs were able to get off to a hot start, and it kind of threw the Packers off a little bit. But in the second half, the Packers defense was able to force 3 turnovers, and that led. And the fact that they weren't able to score any points off those turnovers or really capitalize off those turnovers really was the difference in the game. And listening to Packers fans and listening to what they have to say, they are disappointed. They felt like this was the best opportunity for them to not only reach the Super Bowl but win the Super Bowl. And there's been a lot of talk about Aaron Rodgers struggling in the playoffs, specifically in those in the NFC Championship games. Because when you look back in the first time he was in the NFC Championship game, they took on the Bears. That was when Jay Cutler got hurt, and he had to sit out the rest of the game. Packers were able to win that, go on to win the Super Bowl, and then a few years later, he leads the Packers to the NFC title game against the Seahawks. That's the infamous Brandon Bostic onside kick where he tried to recover it, but then it just led to a disaster. Then, a couple years after that, it's the Falcons game, last game of the Georgia Dome. They were not going to be that Falcons team, especially the way the offense was playing. And then last year with the 49ers, same thing. The Packers took on the 49ers in the regular season last year, got blown out. They got blown out again in the title game. And, this game was just frustrating for so many reasons. And Packers fans want to point the blame at a specific person, whether it's Matt LaFleur, that coach, whether it's Kevin King, the cornerback, whether it's the special teams. But I think whether it's special teams, offense, defense, coaching, I think they all played a factor in the loss. And I just don't like seeing Aaron Rodgers get blamed for the loss because he did everything he could. Like he threw close to 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think what ultimately led to the loss is just the decision making at the end of the game. The fact that the Packers took a field goal instead of going for it on 4th down and tried to rely on their defense and hopefully get a stop, that backfired. And I think when Matt LaFleur looks at the film, and he probably already has, I think he's going to kick himself because they had an opportunity to win that game and get Aaron Rodgers back to the Super Bowl. So, and then there's just been a lot of talk about Aaron Rodgers possibly being traded. That's not happening. He's going to be back with the Packers next year. The Packers are still going to be a good team, even though they're going to be losing some key pieces due to their salary cap and free agency. But as long as Aaron Rodgers is playing at a high level, they're going to be back in the playoff picture next year.
Well, yeah, man, no doubt about it. It was disappointing because a lot of people, I think, were in a situation where they were disappointed because they, like you said, they felt this was a team, that should be able to go all the way. I think the Packers came in with a record, I think was 14-4 overall, or 14-3. So you had a situation where this team only had 3 losses. It had been considered the best team in the league, and it was the number 1 seed in the NFC. And I think the biggest disappointment was the fact that you got a 14-10 game. You get the ball to start the second half. All you have to do is go into the locker room, make a stop, and then, to me, basically the turning point of the game, a sudden, shocking, and senseless touchdown to give the Tampa Bay a 21-10 lead. And of course, that was even worsened by as soon as they came out on the first series to turn the ball over and allowing them to go right back in and score. And that was really the ball game. That 5 minutes, those 2 minutes, so the last minute of the first half, first minute of the second half is, to me, what ended the ball game.
Yeah, and I think because of that play, that play in particular is when Packers fans got really angry at Kevin King and they were just done with him. He's just been up and down ever since joining the Packers in 2017. He was drafted at the first pick in the second round. The Packers had like the 30th or 31st pick, and then they traded down, and that's when they got Kevin King. And he's just not been the player that they hoped that he would have been. You know, he's made some plays here and there, but he just hasn't been consistent. And also, I think the Packers fans are want to see a change of defensive coordinator. Mike Pettin has been there for the last few years. This is not a guy Matt LaFleur hired. He was there with the Mike McCarthy regime, and they're just not impressed with what he's done with the unit. And again, they have some key defensive players. They have some players that play well in the 2020 season, specifically Kenny Clark, Jair Alexander, Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage. I think the biggest thing for the Packers moving forward is they need some more help at inside linebacker. You know, they've been looking for a playmaking inside linebacker since Clay Matthews, and even then, he's naturally an outside linebacker. So and again, I mentioned the salary cap. They're going to have a lot of issues trying to re-sign some key players, specifically the center Corey Linsley, running back Aaron Jones, which they've been trying to get a deal done, but they haven't been able to. So there are some challenges for the Packers next year when it comes to getting back to the NFC Championship for the third straight year. But again, as long as they have Aaron Rodgers, they do have a chance.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. So once again, guys, you guys always get to get a chance as us for our show. The one thing I always like to do on our shows, we always are pushing envelopes. We experiment. We do different things. So again, for those of you who are watching us here, you're expecting to see D. Orlando Ledbetter. No, instead, I have a blast of beauty here. I'm going to bring her back onto the screen. Let's see if we can see her. I think she's in the waiting room. Da-da-da. There she is.
Hi.
Yeah.
Football. No, I'm just gonna say this about football. Football it could be anybody's year, if that makes sense. You
Well,
just never
yeah,
know.
I mean,
You just never know. Tom Brady is an amazing player, period. So him bringing back Tampa Bay from years of going to the playoffs or even going to the Super Bowl is like, it's amazing. I'm
yeah.
excited.
Well, it's going to add to his legend as being the GOAT. No doubt about it. Because again, he's doing something nobody else has done.
And
I
Aaron Rodgers,
mean,
he's he's iconic as well. So it would have been actually good for him to go to, but look what's coming to Tampa this year. I think it was a setup pretty much. Tampa. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Tampa Bay, you have Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, and you have the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay this year. I mean, but look who's playing. You got Gronkowski, you have JP. I mean, it's a hell of a squad.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, to me personally, I tried to get involved, but people know me. I always felt that over the last few years, the NFL to me is becoming more and more like WE. It's always about scripting, about stories, and I just found it odd that Tom Brady, of all the teams, Brian, he would pick to go to, he go to Tampa Bay, and now all of a sudden Tampa Bay ends up back in postseason. Again, don't get me wrong, they made the right moves in the second half of the season. Certainly bringing in Antonio Brown, a guy that could now stretch the field, a guy that can make big plays out of small plays. And of course, Gronk is Gronk. And you add it to the fact that you have Evans, who is, a stud at wide receiver, very underrated guy. They had the weapons.
Right, definitely.
Well,
So,
I also think that when it comes to Tampa Bay, last year they were 7-9, and a lot of it had to do with Jameis Winston. Now he threw 30 touchdowns, but he also threw 30 interceptions. So
right.
they probably figured that they're really good on defense. They got playmakers like Devin White, Jason Pierre-Paul. They added in Ndamukong Suh. They also have Antoine Whitfield, but they just were missing one piece, and that was the quarterback position. And lo and behold, Tom Brady decides to leave New England and go down south to Tampa, and it has worked out well. They got off to somewhat of a slow start to start the year, but I think a lot of it had to do with the COVID-19 pandemic, not being able to work out as much as they wanted to. But what it came down to was, being able to come together, utilizing all their weapons, because I think one of the things that has really stood out for them, especially in the playoffs, is the way Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette has ran the ball. So I think that's played a big factor. So, Tom Brady, this is his 10th Super Bowl. It seems like Patrick Mahomes made the joke about this actually being his 150th Super Bowl because it seems
Right.
like he's always been playing in the big game. But it's going to be a really interesting matchup.
I'm excited about that game.
Yeah, you seem pretty crunk
Very
already. Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, we plan to go down there. We're going to. I don't want to say. I mean, it's like I said, I'm in a business where I'm in contact with people all the time anyway. So I'm still going to try to do whatever I can do. I will say there's some butterflies about going, but I'm gonna put my little rain slicker on. I'll put my NKN95 mask and my shield. I got my gloves, and I got my little them old school sweatpants, the ones that look like the rubber. Yeah, I'm going for all of that, and then the plane ride. My understanding is only about an hour, so hopefully I can just get in there and do what I got to do, and then I am looking forward to hopefully being in some very warm weather. They're saying the temperature is going to be in the mid 70s for most of the time down there, so I'm kind of liking that.
Yeah,
Kind of liking that. So I said we're going to try to bring you guys some coverage. Also, we have our other co-hosts. I know you guys are disappointed. We would have had a double dose of beauty here, but of course, the lovely Miss Tree Dolman was not able to be with us tonight, but she will be actually on the scene in Tampa Bay. She will be not just representing Real Talk Sports, but also she is a beauty queen. A lot of you guys may or may not know she is still the reigning Ms. America International for 2020 and 21, and she will be there in that role and being involved with I think it's called Black Girls Who Golf. They're having a big fundraiser and tournament. Former NFL players will be down there. They'll be at one of the great golf courses down there. So she'll be bringing us some live stuff from on the scene there. And hopefully, prayerfully, at some point, I will arrive in Tampa and give you guys a look at what's on the scene there in Tampa. Now, Brian, are you going to be there? Are you going to be here? What's your sensibilities about Tampa?
I'm probably going to be here, but I'm probably going to be doing a couple interviews. I'm trying to schedule an interview with Tiki Barber. I'm also been invited to a virtual event, which is next weekend. So there's going to be quite a bit of Super Bowl coverage on my end.
We look forward to integrate you and all that because, like I say again, whether I'm there, whether I do virtual, it's going to be on and popping. Now, affiliate man, this is our good buddy from Periscope, which soon will be Twitter TV. He says, "Hey, can we get the new coach on the show?" Well, affiliate man, I'm gonna have to rely maybe on you. Maybe Brian might pull some strings that we can get our new coach Smith on the show with us. We'll put that request out for you to the Falcons, and hopefully he can join us. What do you guys think about the coaching decision and the GM? We got Terry Fontenot, a former GM. I shouldn't say former GM, but certainly in with the management team for the Saints, and of course, Coach Smith, coming over for the Titans. Good move for the Falcons, and if so, what do you think these two guys are going to bring to the table? Brian, I'll let you go first.
I'll think for Arthur Smith, I think this is something that I think the Falcons needed to do because with him, obviously he was with the Titans for 3 different coaching staffs. So that's an indication that they really like what he's done on the offensive side of the football. He was the offensive coordinator for the last couple of years. And I think once he took over, and he took over for Matt LaFleur because he went over to the Rams before taking the head coaching job with the Packers, that offense really started to click. And Ryan Tannehill's numbers went up. Derrick Henry became an all-pro running back. And even this past year, even with the way that the Titans ran the football, they still had 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers. So they looked at what he's done on the offensive side of the football, and they hope they can integrate that to what the Falcons have offensively with Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. They'll probably look for a new running back during the offseason and also with Calvin Ridley. So they hope that they can turn things around offensively with the way that Arthur Smith has called plays over the last couple of years. As for Terry Fontenot, obviously being part of the front office staff of the Saints, and even though they've struggled with salary cap issues over the last few years, they've been able to get quality players. They signed Taysom Hill from the Packers, who they released back a couple years ago, where there's Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus Davenport. They were able to build a team where they won the NFC South for the last 4 years. So they're hoping with his ability, what he's done with the front office, can work some magic because the Falcons have salary cap issues, and hopefully they can go from there. And I think one other thing, going back to Smith, is the fact that they're bringing in Dean Pease as a defensive coordinator. I think that's big for him. He'll probably only be here for a year or two, but look what he's done with the Ravens. Look what he's done with the Patriots. Won Super Bowls with those teams. So I think getting a voice like Dean Pease can really help this Falcons defense moving forward. So I really like the moves. And I think, again, if you have the right coaching staff, you can turn things around quickly. And hopefully that could lead to a playoff appearance for the Falcons next year.
Yeah, no doubt. So once again, our good buddy, Affiliate Man from off of Periscope / Twitter TV, he says, hey, we just need, we just need to sign. Oh, hang on a second. Let me scroll down. Let's see if I can get it here. Here we are. Yeah, he says,
we need a quarterback.
right. He said he likes the coaching move. Now let's just go get a quarterback in the draft. So, I mean, look, here's how this works. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just, well, Eric, I don't want to get into specifics, but do you like the move? Do you like the idea that the Falcons have kind of just said, listen, we're going a whole different direction. We're getting somebody from the Saints. We're getting somebody from the Titans, and we're going to try to turn this thing around.
I like the idea. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Right. That's all we need.
I'm just going to leave it at that.
Right. She what she doesn't want to do, she wants to only shade at the previous administration, but and we appreciate that. Right. No shade tonight. But no, the realities are if you look at kind of this team, certainly what I think when they put together the team of Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot, what that sent to me as a message, and really to all Falcons fans, that they were not going to go into any type of fire sale rebuilding right now. They brought in a coach and a general manager that both have experience with aging quarterbacks, guys that having a team that needs to rely as much on a running game and defense as a quarterback just going to sling it around. Because as you mentioned with Tannehill, he was a guy that kind of looked to be just kind of a quote-unquote game manager, average type quarterback, and this guy has turned into a darn near Pro Bowler. But, of course, that's because he does have a Pro Bowler, Derrick Henry, running, and then also they have a very, very good defense. And I think that's what you're going to see with the Falcons now, kind of going back to the Falcons from obviously Smith as well, Mike Smith, who basically set the same thing up. Hey, we're going to go with, at that time, was still kind of a decent offense with Dirk Cutter, which was primarily run the ball, hit you with the play action fake, and from time to time do a tempo change, putting Matt into the hurry up offense. And I think that's what you're going to kind of see with Arthur Smith. If they're trying to get it back in here, somebody that can run the ball, take the pressure off of Matt, shore up this defense. And they all believe that with the basic core of him, Julio, Calvin Ridley, Jones, and some of the other players on the defense, that they have enough of a core that they should be able to get back to the playoffs, as you said, pretty much right away.
Well, and that's the key. And I think when you look at Matt Ryan's rookie year and even his earlier years, he had Michael Turner as a running back. And I think that was one of the best free agent acquisitions
of all time.
Made. Yeah, really,
right.
Of all time. Because he was able to take pressure off Matt Ryan, especially his rookie year. And I think that was a big reason why he won Rookie of the Year. And even when his MVP year in 2016, the utilization of Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman played a huge factor in that in the way that offense was being efficient. So I think the Falcons, as you said, they're looking at this team and they're like, we need to get back to basics. We got to get back to running the football. We got to get back to playing good defense because we got to take as much pressure off of Matt Ryan as we can. Now, I know people are frustrated with Matt Ryan because of everything that's gone on with his team the last few years, but he's still playing at a high level. He's just been hit a lot. He's been sacked close to or over 40 times the last few years. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact they're not able to run the football efficiently. And I think if they're able to, whether it's drafting a Najee Harris or Trey Sermon, they just need to just get back to basics because, yes, the NFL is changing. And, yes, you need a quarterback that can throw the football downfield in order to win. But as much as the NFL has changed, it is still exactly the same when it started 100 years ago. Running the football, playing good defense is the formula to winning football games, and the Falcons need to get back to that in order to be back on top of the NFC South.
And they can do it. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're not going to have Drew Brees back next year for New Orleans. Carolina, their quarterback position is still a question mark. And you don't know if even Tom Brady's going to come back. I mean, if he turns around and wins the Super Bowl, I find it highly unlikely that he comes back next year. Now, he might because he did sign a 2-year contract. But at the end of the day, now you're dealing with a 43-year-old Tom Brady. So how many times can he go back to the well? Speaking of the Falcons, we see affiliate man had to take one more shot before he went. He said, I leave you with this. Matt Ryan ain't got it anymore. Well, the only thing I can tell you is this. The narrative about Matt Ryan and the Falcons was changed basically in 2 or 3 dumb plays 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Falcons run the ball a couple of times, kick a field goal, win a Super Bowl. Nobody's talking about Matt Ryan being a bum. Everybody's talking about him being a future Hall of Famer. Everybody's talking about the Falcons, I think, would have been able to play in another Super Bowl. And everybody's been talking about this team now rebuilding for a second run at another championship. So it's really a situation where the coaches, I think, especially Dan Quinn, let this team down. To some degree, Thomas Dimitroff with a lot of blunders with drafting. I mean, he wasn't completely bad because obviously he drafted Julio Jones and he drafted Calvin Ridley and he drafted a lot of other guys, so Deion Jones. And so you don't want to just throw them out completely. But at the end of the day, those 2 guys really misused the talent that the Falcons had. So I think if they can, would it be great to get a quarterback? It would. But if you can't get Trevor Lawrence, if you can't get Justin Fields, then you might as well either drop down in the draft or you need to pick up the best player available. That's the other thing. Terry Fontenot said, I don't care who it is. So we could see something. I know Falcons fans will flip out. But in fact, you could see a situation where the Falcons draft another wide receiver. If you look at Jamar Chase out of LSU or you look at the young man out of Alabama, either of those guys are considered, top 5 picks. So you never know. So it's definitely going to be very, very interesting, and we look forward to covering it and hanging out and, letting you guys be a part of it. As we get ready to wrap this show up, you know how we do it. We can't have our guests come on and leave the show without them telling you how you can find out more about them and more about their shows. And the way we do it is we simply say, Brian Jones, the floor is yours.
I appreciate it. I am the trending sports and entertainment writer for popculture.com. You can find my work at popculture.com or popculture.com/sports. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to do a lot of coverage on the Super Bowl. Hopefully I'll be able to interview Tiki Barber and have that interview up sometime either late this week or next week. So be sure to check that out. Again, that's popculture.com and popculture.com/sports. You can also follow me on Twitter. That is at Brian Jones_PC. I also have a podcast, which is called Always Football Season. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts. And we also have a Facebook page for the podcast, which is facebook.com/Always Football Season.
There you go. You also can follow Brian also on at Brian_L_Jones on Instagram as well. So again, this guy is all over the world doing great things. We appreciate you again, Brian, as you always, for joining us here on the broadcast, and we look forward to having you back. I'm not even going to say real soon. I'm just going to say we look forward to having you back next week. We'll leave it at that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, Brian. Have a blessed one, brother. That was Brian Jones in the building with us here on the Real Talk Sports Show as we get ready to wrap it up there. And again, introducing you guys to normally she's not on camera. Normally what she does is that she takes photos. So like you guys, if you ever go to a high school game, you always see this nice looking lady running around with the baseball cap and moving around, taking. That's her. That's her. She does a great job. And like I say again, you guys will hopefully see more of her work as we go forward here on the Real Talk Sports Show. Now I'm gonna pop this up here. Hopefully I got this right. You can follow her on Instagram. I think it's Queen's Eye 44. Do I have that right?
Queens, yes. Queens,
okay.
44.
Let me see if I can get that up there right here. Well, I might have to type it in next time, guys, because it's hard for me to type and, as you can see, be on the show at the same time. So my typing's going all over the place. But again, you can check her out at Queen's Eye 44 on Instagram. And she's going to be doing more photos and pictures for us as we go forward into the broadcast. We're going to shut off a little bit early today, guys. We appreciate you for joining us as we always do. And, I got to put the minister hat on and tell you guys, look, if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, your personal Savior, hey, you better get to know him today. because nobody loves you like Jesus, not your mom, not your grandma, not your auntie and them. Nobody loves you like him. And he died for you and me. And he's here to help you to be a kingdom citizen and to really have a life well lived. All right, guys, until the next time you get a chance to join us on the broadcast, you like to say, God bless you and have a great night. So long, friends and citizens. See you again real soon. Good night.
Good night.